first topic is Anjem Choudary faces UK terrorism charges over Islamic State. So here we go.
Well, it's about time, I'd say.
Radical cleric Anjem Choudary has been charged with inviting support for so-called Islamic State. The offence allegedly took place between June 2014 and March this year. He's been detained in custody and will appear in court this afternoon. Our Home Affairs correspondent Dominic Casciani is with me, and this has only emerged really in the last few minutes. Dominic, what
yes,
do
in the
we
last
know?
few minutes. But this has been a case which has been going on for some time, because Anjem Choudary and other close confidants of his were arrested last summer, and they were subsequently bailed following an investigation into alleged membership of a banned terrorist group at the time. And indeed, at the time of his release, he told the BBC that he believed his arrest had been politically motivated because of his trenchant views, and that he hadn't actually committed a criminal act. Now, the Crown Prosecution Service is alleging that he has broken the law, and they've charged him under something called the Terrorism Act 2000 of inviting support for ISIL, also known as ISIS, i.e. the Islamic State as it's also known. These offences allegedly occurred between June 2014 and March 2015. And Sue Hemming, who's the head of counter-terrorism at the Crown Prosecution Service, she says that following an investigation by the Metropolitan Police, we have today authorised charges against Anjem Choudary and another man, Mohammed Mizanur Rahman. We have concluded there is sufficient evidence and it's in the public interest to do so, and it's alleged that they invited support through lectures which were subsequently published online.
So there you have it. And Drew, before you go, I want to show this image real quick that they had in this video. This is insanity here. You know, I mean, we know the damage and the atrocities and how many people they kill. You can actually say on a daily basis, Islam will prevail, Islam the only solution. They want global jihad. This is something they've been trying to do since the 7th century. I'm like, this is nothing new. And I think the UK got it right. So go ahead, Drew.
Yeah, it's... I don't know how many people are familiar, because this is, you know, Anjem has made his big fuss over in England. I don't know how many of our American fans are.
Well, he's been on Fox News' Sean Hannity show a bunch of times.
Yes,
yeah, he's been on there a few times, but he's in that mindset. You know, there are moderate Muslims that will come up with some way to distance Islam from Sharia and things like that. Well, there's no distinction for Anjem, and he's been in England for I don't know how long now, and completely taking advantage of the freedom of speech and democracy, all to tear down freedom of speech and democracy, to wanting to have Sharia overthrow. It's not just, they don't just want it for Muslims there.
They want to overthrow democracy.
Yeah,
and theocracy.
One day the flag of Allah will fly over the White House, this sort of thing. So it's really, really dangerous stuff. It's awesome to see that he's finally, I can't believe it took this long, because some of the stuff he said before in support of the, what was it, the 7/7 over in England, that attack.
He's come out in support of September 11th and also July 7th, 2005.
And support of the Charlie Hebdo attacks too. We can't forget that.
Yeah, and also he marched in protest of the Heelan. God, I can't say it. The Dutch cartoon.
No, the Danish cartoons?
Danish cartoons.
Danish, thank you. Yes, I can't say the name.
So
right.
would we do the same thing in America if it was like, I know it's played out to keep comparing Christians to Muslims and all that, but in America, if some Christian was, you know, supportive of let's say abortion provider murders, or you know, would it be terrible? Would a Christian get put in jail in America for saying they want the Christian flag to fly over the White House or something like that, or like biblical law or whatever? The one thing that would be a difference there is, if it's almost like, you know, with freedom of speech, even in America, you can't incite riots and you can't incite violence like that. So that would be the difference. If you're actually, to my understanding, even in America, if you're actually promoting or trying to get people to go blow up abortion clinics, then you're
support blowing up.
Right.
You could, but I mean,
saying the shit, you know.
I guess my point is that you have supporters of all kinds of crazy shit, and my point is not that nobody should be held to any standard, but that they should all be held to a higher standard of being able to, push their extremist religions, and if you're not used to the way I do things, I like to play devil's advocate a lot. So don't necessarily think that just because I make a point that's what I actually believe. I just want to hear people's arguments back on it.
Well, what I want to
They call this jihad in the closet.
Well, I'll come
Yeah.
back to that. You don't see anything like global Christianity, like jihad's or Christianity's version of jihad. I mean, like when you're committing the atrocities that in the name of Islam is committed in the name of Islam compared to Christianity, there's no difference. I mean, like there is a difference, I should say. I'm like one side of the spectrum, you see it on a daily basis, you know, with the violent acts committed in the name of Allah and Islam. On the other hand, Christianity, not so much. Do we see it? Yes, we do. But we have to pay attention on what's really happened. They want global jihad. They want to take over the world. This isn't new. I mean, like
in the modern age, Christianity doesn't have near the death count, doesn't have near the support for the shit that this jihadist Islamist ideas, the like the hardcore shit. The numbers are really scary. There's a good the Pew poll from 2013 will just blow your mind at the amount of support worldwide for those ideas.
Yeah, and in Egypt, I think in Egypt it's over. Sorry, Paul. Is 80% that accept that death for leaving a religion is appropriate. I'm like, really? Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, I was going to say the difference is he's been preaching in the past and he's been pushing for Sharia in the UK for a long time and all this. He's very outspoken. He has very little support of actual mainstream Muslims in the UK. Has very little support, I should say. The difference is it says he's being investigated for supporting ISIS. Now, there's a difference between just going out there and saying I want Sharia in UK and actually actively supporting what is considered a terrorist organization to multiple countries.
Correct. Bob, what do you got to say?
It seems to me that we do have an element in American Christianity that is somewhat analogous to this, but as you say, it's an exception that proves the rule because it is so rare, and that's the Christian identity lunatics. We know they're violent, they've killed people that are against their agenda or just because they're Jews, etc. Now, if that were on the same scale, we'd be in a heap of trouble from Christians, but it's just like the Ku Klux Klan. Is that really representative of Christianity? Right. Or you do have this dominionist or reconstructionist movement that does want to have a Christian theocracy, but again, that is a fringe, and they're not going to do anything about it, and they're repudiated vocally by other fundamentalists. So luckily, I mean, it's not hard to imagine you could have violent Christian revolutionaries one day. I'm not predicting it, but maybe just by the luck of the draw, nobody's interpreted it that way on our shores.
Right. At least nothing near to the extreme that we're seeing from
in current day
like
societies,
ISIS and Boko Haram and
I mean,
I
Christian
guess the basic question is what's more important, like religious freedom or the freedom of the population at large to be free, freedom from religion, I guess, which is something that Christians I hear in America argue against all the time. They say it's freedom of religion, not freedom from religion. So you basically have to put up with our bullshit.
Yeah. Also, I want to make one quick point here, and then we can wrap this topic up. Is since I guess you can say 620 AD to 1920 AD, there has been 548 jihad battles against classic civilization like of Rome and Greece. And it's still continuing today. We see it today. Now, Christianity, they had their problems. They had the atrocity they've committed and shit like that. But you can't compare the two, I don't think, in current day society.
Well,
you just
can't,
man.
that's the difference. If you're talking in the modern age, if you're talking about the past, Christianity is a history, soaked in blood. There's all kinds of shit that happened. But when you're talking about in the modern age, it's really not comparable on that scale. I've said before in videos that I've made, it's like comparing like a paper cut to a severed limb. I mean, it's
right.
So now wait a second, because I've made this point before as well, that from their perspective, you have America, that's all these Christians or politicians saying America's a Christian nation. And so when our military goes and like bombs them or drone strikes them, they see that as maybe a like religious attack. I can understand that point when you're having so many politicians call America a Christian nation, that they would think it's that's one of the reasons they're against America. Again, totally disagree,
Yeah,
but I can understand the point being made.
Yeah, but you don't see the United States claiming that they're doing it for, say, the a Christian version of jihad. You don't hear them coming out and saying that shit. Other countries do.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Just
I totally agree.
religious.
It's a giant fucking problem.
It is a big problem, no doubt. And hey, Christianity does their they have their their atrocities that they commit throughout the world. Look at Car Africa right now. There's just a huge fight in Central Africa right now. Over who's going to claim that country right there. Is it going to be the Muslims or is it going to be the Christians? We see it right now. It's happening over there now. But I don't know. Anything else you guys want to say on this topic? We can move on here.
Just specifically for Anjem, what I was reading, I thought this video was going to cover it, but they're looking at 10 years is what I was hearing. Has anybody heard anything different?
No,
10 years is what I heard the sentence would be.
No, I haven't heard anything yet. I don't know.
Have you heard anything different? Okay.
I haven't heard anything yet, but I want to bring up a couple quotes by this Anjem Choudary, or however you pronounce it. One quote is here, contrary to popular misconception, Islam does not mean peace, but rather means submission to the commands of Allah alone. Therefore, Muslims do not believe in the concept of freedom of expression, as their speech and actions are determined by divine revelation and not based on people's desires. So I think that tells you a lot right now about that.
Yeah.
So